We are back on Taking Care of Business with our in-studio guest, Assemblywoman Shannon Grove. I want to read something else from this LA Times article, okay? This was just great. Now, this is a Democrat, Mike Gatto.
That's him.
You were just talking about him.
I was just talking about him.
Okay, Mike Gatto, who at 36 is among the youngest legislators, said in a statement, "I now have to explain to my wife and daughter that we won't be able to pay the bills because a politician chose to grandstand at our expense." Is this what's perpetuating that food drive you were talking about?
Yeah, I guess John and Ken down south are holding a food drive in front of Gatto's district office so that they can help him feed his family. I mean, it's roughly $150,000 a year, and if you can't go a week and you haven't saved, it's pretty sad. The comment was pretty sad.
Yeah, and this poor guy has done everything he could for the last 6 months to get that budget passed, I would assume, right? Along with his other Democratic friends.
Okay, if that's what you believe, yes.
Well, just dripping with a little bit of sarcasm there, Clay.
I think you are, Marty, and I think you need to give the Democrats a little more credit. I think they're doing a heck of a job. Look at all the entitlements they're putting out, all the freebies they're giving. I mean, people need these things.
You know, just a couple of weeks ago, the welfare system has a fingerprint system to detect fraud and to eliminate duplication. They said that they have passed a bill through the Assembly, party line vote, that they can no longer fingerprint. They're going to use paycheck vouchers or previous income vouchers to see if it's duplication. But
paychecks from where?
I know. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. They've also eliminated the fact there used to be a dollar amount assigned to a vehicle, so you couldn't be on welfare if you had a certain dollar value of a vehicle. Now they've eliminated that dollar value of a vehicle, so you can drive whatever you want to drive and still be able to collect a subsistence check.
And we can't do drug tests on.
No, we can't. Okay. We're working on that. Actually, Florida just passed a law, right, and there are several other legislators in different states that are taking up that particular subject, drug testing welfare recipients, including myself. And we've done some research, and California spends about $152 million a year providing drug money. The $152 million a year is basically drug money provided to welfare recipients.
Well, they're talking now, the federal government's talking now about making marijuana legal. I don't know if you saw that. I saw on the news last night. And don't you think that if we made marijuana legal that we could increase the tax base in California tremendously?
Oh, and you believe that. So you think that some drug dealer that buys his drugs in a back alley or on a street corner is going to go to Walmart and pay taxes or a drugstore and pay taxes on drugs?
Well, if it's illegal, we're not going to have drug dealers, are we?
Like I said, I don't think anybody's going to go out of their backroom alley or their back alley or wherever they buy their drugs now and go to a store and pay taxes.
Now, you know, the sad thing is somebody who hasn't heard us before is going to listen to Clay in the last 5 minutes and go, this is what this guy really believes.
Well...
We have a gentleman up there, Assemblymember Omniano, who is trying to pass the Assembly floor that it will no longer be a felony to cultivate marijuana, that it's just a misdemeanor, reducing that. And my thing is, you know, you sell drugs, you buy drugs, you cultivate drugs, you're going to jail.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's today, but we're looking at tomorrow, and I think the federal government's going to make it where each state's going to be able to establish their own rules and regulations, and having only 27 Republicans in the Assembly, I don't think you're going to be able to stop it in California.
Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at the impediments created by marijuana, and then let's look at the people who are going to drive the school buses, drive on the road, fix the brakes on your car, work in a safety, environmentally sensitive position, weld something. I mean, think about all of that. If they're so impaired because they're on marijuana, how is that going to benefit society?
Well, that same problem we have if they're on alcohol.
Exactly.
So are we going to ban alcohol?
I can't guarantee what those people up there will do.
You're having too much fun with this.
Well, he is.
Shannon was a friend of ours until she walked in here this morning.
I challenge her a little bit because she's developing quite a reputation in Sacramento.
A great reputation, I think.
Well, it depends on what side of the alley you're on.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to a very well-known individual the other day on my way home, and I said, I don't think I made any friends this week. And he goes, you don't need any friends. You got a dog.
Shannon, I mean, it's ridiculous up there in Sacramento. I mean, the patient's drowning, and all they're doing is turning the hose on. I mean, what's going to happen up there? This is insane. That 6.5. We had George Runner, and George is an old friend of ours, and George was telling us about the $6.5 billion.
Right.
So and I looked online to see anything I could see on what happened to that $6.5 billion.
They've spent most of it.
Okay, and how did they do that? I mean, how did they spend the $6.5 billion?
They took some cuts in March, and they restored part of those cuts. And then they've spent money on studies, magnetic, I can't remember the name of the word, but it's apparently Israel's doing a study, and they put something in the road, and when the cars drive by, it creates a vibration, and then they can take that vibration and create or generate energy. They've spent money on books, green technology, subsidizing stuff, care programs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they've spent money on, and it's like $1 million here, $1 million there, a couple million here, a couple million there, and pretty soon it adds up to billions, and it's all gone. It's kind of like us in the real world. We stop and get a coffee, and then we stop and get a hamburger, and then we stop at dinner on the way home, and we grab something to feed the family because we're not cooking or whatever the thing is. And by the end of the day, you've spent $50. But up there, at the end of the day, they've spent billions. And even though we say no, the votes kind of go, all those who desire to vote, please vote. 52 yeses, 27 noes, measure passes. There's not a lot of stopping. We've got to either get them out of the building or change the dynamic of the building.
Javier the other day, your assistant, who's great.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he really is. I like him a lot. He sent something out to us, and I just happened to be online at that moment when he sent it out, and I flicked on the station, and you were on the assembly floor, and there was 7 or 8 votes in a row, and all on party line. I mean, it was incredible. And looking at some of this junk, it's like, I don't want to use the word I'm thinking. I don't think I can because this is a family show. But anyways, you look at this Bandini and you go, what the hell are these guys thinking? I mean, this is absolutely insane. Is there any logic there? And people like, Rubio here, who's local here, you would think somebody in a fairly conservative area like the one he's in would not vote for this stuff. What's the thought process up there, or is there one?
You have to love the position more than you love the responsibility of answering to constituents. But then you also have to understand that Kern County is one of the most conservative counties that we have left. And the people that are in control of that building are pushing an agenda that is a union agenda, an environmentalist agenda, and a gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual questioning agenda. And that is the 3 agendas that are being pushed up there. And they're spending and putting together programs that will benefit those 3 things, and it's irregardless. I mean, think about just the election. The unions paid so much money to get Jerry Brown elected, and the SEIU banded and walked. They're like an army. So when you have all of that, and then your boss, who you have now elected, has the ability to negotiate your contract for wages, there's something in that itself that's unethical to me. But it's exactly what it is. You have a union, an environmentalist, and a transgender, bisexual, gay thing. And when we showed our roadmap to the governor and said we'll let the people vote. There were Republicans that said we will let the people vote, but we want them to vote on not only tax increases if they want that, if the people want that, but we want to vote on this pension reform, spending cap, and this environmental or regulatory reform. He can't put it on the ballot. He said, number one, the pension issue or the paycheck protection issue is a golden cow. You can't touch it. That's his reply to us, not ours.
That's Brown's reply.
Okay. That's the golden cow. And his supporters and the unions will not allow him to make this deal. They won't do it. It's dead in the water.
I have a hard time understanding how 27 people can all vote the same way, and then how 52 people can all vote the same way. Doesn't anybody have independent thought, number one? And number two, people must understand that they can't all be supporting the same thing.
Well, it's on the budget is when mostly on very controversial issues, or like the budget, when it comes up, that's a party line vote 52 to 27. A lot of times they only need just 41 votes and they have 52 people. So most bills that come up, sometimes Republicans are on those bills and sometimes they're not. I mean, I vote on bills that belong to Democrats, but they're, bills that support things or that don't spend money or that are in line with the things that I believe my community agrees with. It's just interesting. It's a very interesting comment what you said, but sometimes there's a 42 to 20 votes. Sometimes it's 42 to 10. A lot of people lay off. They don't vote at all. There was a gay, lesbian, transgender bill that came on the floor on Monday, and the vote was 44 to 7.
But if you don't toe the party line, you could lose an office in Sacramento, or you could lose funding for an office in Bakersfield or wherever you have offices. Is that not correct?
That is correct, and it is correct.
Who makes those decisions?
The Speaker.
The Speaker independently?
I would think so.
Okay. Let's pick up there when we get back. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.